This morning I was doomsday scrolling on Facebook and I came across several videos of girls in like I want to say their mid-20s or whatever, complaining that there's not a lot of masculine men anymore, that there's just a lot of beta males. And that got me thinking, this is all because of Limp Bizkit. Hear me out. This is my Limp Bizkit theory, why we have a lot. And you probably noticed it too. Anytime you go out, you probably notice there's a lot of, you come across young men that, I don't know, they just have a very feminine way of carrying themselves. Even though they're straight as hell, they got girlfriends, wives, all that kind of stuff, but they just have a very feminine way of talking. And that came out of the toxic masculinity movement. Now, I'm sure you remember this. This happened about 98. Actually, it happened in 99. This is what happened in 1999, and this is where Limp Bizkit comes in. In 99, they started pushing toxic masculinity, and then Woodstock 99 happened, okay? I was in college. I was a sophomore at Columbus State University. I was a typical frat boy, tall Kappa Epsilon, so I'm in that toxic masculinity category. So I remember when all this happened. So Limp Bizkit, they played Woodstock, which I wanted to go to. And remember, I was in radio at the time, and I was jealous that we actually did a contest giving away tickets for this, and I couldn't get any. But this concert had every major rock band ever, including Limp Bizkit, who at the time was one of the biggest bands on the planet. And this is when Nookie dropped, and then you had Break Stuff dropped, and Together Now. You're talking about the biggest band, all right? Like Metallica level band at this point. Well, I remember that in Woodstock, they blamed Limp Bizkit for all the rioting that happened. And then right after that happened is when the toxic masculinity push happened in college, because I was a sophomore then. And I remember that's when the metrosexual stuff kicked in. And I bought into that shit too, because all the girls, one of the guys that had the manicures done, the tan skin, they had the blonde hair. Anybody that went to college with me probably remembers me back in those B101 days. Yeah, I'm not proud of any of that shit, so I changed a lot. But anyway, I just remember that's what was going on. And it was all because of the toxic masculinity push, which was kicked off because of Limp Bizkit, because they blame Limp Bizkit for these riots. But what they don't tell you is that it's because of greed that those riots happened. There is a documentary on Netflix about it. I forget what it's called. But if you watch that documentary, you'll even see they're trying to blame Limp Bizkit. They're saying, oh, it's these bands, they got Alanis Morissette on there complaining, oh, I don't know why I'm here, all this toxic masculinity everywhere. I mean, you put Metallica, DMX, Marilyn Manson, and Limp Bizkit all in a room. What the hell? And you got the Chili Peppers there. You're talking about the biggest rock show ever. And then you have the biggest band ever play in front of thousands of people, and you ask him not to play Break Stuff because they're pissed off. Why are they pissed off? Why is the crowd pissed off? Because the facilities are terrible. It's hotter than normal because they didn't do it on a field. They did it on like an airplane hangar or some old military base. That's fun and corporate. And then everything was expensive. Nobody could afford anything. The bathrooms were terrible. Everybody was ramped up and pissed off because they felt like they were being taken advantage of. So they were mad at the people who put on the concert. It just so happened that Limp Bizkit plays Break Stuff in front, and they told him not to because they said it'd be like setting off a fire, which it did, but you caused the friggin' conditions to make that happen, and then you ask the biggest band in the world to not do their biggest hit. And, I mean, I would do it. Mid-20s guy in front of a sea of people going, yes, I'm jamming out too, bro. So that's what happened, and then you know the rest is history. You probably seen all the footage, probably saw the footage of the Chili Peppers playing with shit burning in the background. They blamed all of that on Limp Bizkit and toxic masculinity, and I remember right after that happened in college, all the girls are like, ugh, toxic masculinity, and you had to be tan, blonde hair, that kind of shit to get anybody to talk to you. And then those girls, you got to remember, I mean, I'm in my mid-40s now, so that's 20 years when that happened. So those people, that's an entire generation. So you get those women who are in college, toxic masculinity, having kids. Now they're raising their kids that you cannot be masculine. That is toxic. And that's where you get a lot of people that are talking like this. All because of Limp Bizkit being the scapegoat for corporate greed. This is the shit I think about when I wake up in the morning. Oh, and I forgot to mention is that right after that happened is when Limp Bizkit's popularity tanked.